Two questions kind of wrapped into one, Danny. This organization has to decide on a roster because they got to get down to 26. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. And they were at 28 at the end of the regular season.
Right. And part of that is, do you take three catchers into the postseason?
Yeah.
And there's an argument to do that. But tell me what you would do. What's your thinking?
So a couple of weeks ago, I didn't think they would. I thought, they've done this dance with Bradley Zimmer all season long, keeping him on the roster when he wasn't hitting at all. They lost him on waivers to the Phillies. Then the Phillies put him on waivers and they claimed him back. They like the fact that he's an elite defensive player and a very fast base runner. A couple of weeks ago, I would have thought he's going to get the last spot. Now I think Gabriel Moreno is going to get the last spot. And some of this gets wrapped up into Lourdes Gurriel and whether he can be on the roster or not. But I believe they're going to take Moreno for a couple of reasons. One is Danny Jansen is hitting like crazy. And I think Danny Jansen's going to DH when Alejandro Kirk catches. And I think Alejandro Kirk is going to DH when Danny Jansen catches. If I'm guessing, and by the time this gets out, we might know the game one lineup tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to announce it today or tomorrow, so I might look silly. But even though Jansen's a right-handed batter, I think he's going to be in there as the DH in game one. I don't see Kevin Biggio or Jackie Bradley Jr. in the lineup. I think Tapia is in there as the one left-handed bat. So if both of your catchers are liable to be starters in all three games, I think it's a nice thing to have that third catcher because you have to pinch run for Kirk late in the game if you're down a run and he's on. You have to. You cannot leave him out there. If you're down a run or two in the 8th or 9th, he's got to come out of the game. And then you're going to lose your DH if you don't have a third catcher. And the other thing is, remember that extra innings, it's real baseball now. It's not runner at second. So games, instead of going 10 or 11, could go 12 or 13 or 14. And then you might have lost your DH for 2 or 3 at bats. And you might not have enough guys on the bench anymore. So I think Moreno gives them more value than Zimmer right now. So I believe Gabby Moreno will be on the roster.
Okay, I tend to agree with you. And Zimmer would be the guy who would be off.
I think so. Yeah.
And yes, he provides, good defense, a well above average defense, and he provides some speed on the bases, but he can't hit. And he demonstrated that yesterday in his opportunities. Did he get a hit yesterday in the 2 games?
He got a bloop over the third baseman's head, but he has 2 points of value, and it's they're up a run or two in the 8th or 9th, and he takes somebody off the field, or he pinch runs, and not to steal a base, to score from first on a double or second on a single. They already have Jackie Bradley Jr., who's not quite as good defensively as Zimmer and is not as fast as Zimmer, but he's a better hitter. So I think Bradley's on the roster because I think he gives them a little bit more all-round value. So if they have Tapia, Springer, Teoscar Hernandez, for example, in their outfield and they're leading late, Bradley will come in for either Tapia or Hernandez, one of those two, and you live with the other one in the field and hope it doesn't bite you at the end of a game. I think sometimes when you plan a playoff roster, you have to anticipate the worst case scenario. What do we do if this happens? Like you can't have a mistake on the roster cost you a series. And I think they need to pinch run for Kirk. And I think they need to know that they have another catcher available if the game goes deep into extra innings. And as much as you'd like to see Zimmer out there in center field in the 9th inning, I think Moreno offers a little more insurance against things that could go wrong. The other reason I think they're going to take him is because yesterday he played left field, second base, and third base in the second game of the doubleheader. And I don't think they were screwing around and having fun. He's a very good athlete. He was signed as an infielder, kind of a shortstop second baseman. And not that 9 innings in 3 different positions is really going to help him, but I think they're just kind of saying, get ready, kid. You never know. Like, you're going to be on the roster. And if all hell breaks loose, you might be the guy we turn to just to go fill a spot somewhere.
And hit his first home run.
And had 4 hits, I think, in the doubleheader and looked good. The funny thing about him, and it would be crazy to do it, but say you have one of these situations, it's more of a regular season thing with the runner at second, but you're in extra innings and there's a runner at third with 1 out and a fly ball wins you a game, or contact gets that run in. He's an elite contact hitter. In many ways, he's a better bet to get that runner home than some of the big boys on this team because they have more swing and miss. And they have a lot of trust in him to go up there and give them a quality at bat. I'm not suggesting he's going to pinch hit for Matt Chapman or Teoscar Hernandez or anything like that, but he might find himself up in a crazy spot where contact is what they're looking for, and they would be comfortable with that.
Well, to that end, and in that context, I mean, I'm not convinced that either Espinal or Gurriel is guaranteed to be on the roster for this series. And I mean, these are guys that have not played a single second for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
You're now in the playoffs. It is now, everything is critical. Neither one of these guys, I don't think, is ready to start. So now you're talking about a bat off the bench potentially. I'm not sure either one of them is ready for that.
And if Gurriel's not ready, I assume Zimmer is on. And if Espinal's not ready, I assume Otto Lopez is on. Like if neither one of them is ready, I assume the position players that, and I want to make sure I don't have too many on right there. I don't think I do. I assume, no, because they have 14 position players now. And I think they'll keep 14 position players and go with 12 pitchers. So in effect, it would be 2 pitchers coming off yesterday's roster for tomorrow. So I think Zimmer and Lopez are just, they're the backups. If Gurriel and Espinal can't go, then those guys are on the roster.